drumming you're listening to is Brian Tichy with Foreigner. Brian Tichy is an in-demand drummer with tours and recordings with Billy Idol, Ozzy Osbourne, Slash's Snake Pit, currently Whitesnake, Foreigner, much more. And we have the privilege this morning of saying hi to Brian Tichy in Santa Clarita, California. Hello, Brian.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
We were actually, because we were talking to you today, we were rereading the story of John Bonham's last day, and they say he had about 40 shots of vodka starting at breakfast. So,
yeah, and with the stories we all know of, I couldn't do that. I don't know if you could.
I couldn't.
But,
no.
What I've read about those guys back in the day, it seems like I don't know. Was that something normal going on with these guys,
nah.
Skinner guys and stuff? Because yeah, it sounds like a lot, but everything about Zeppelin was big and more than most. You know what I mean?
It was crazy. Do you know anything about the history of, like, did they try to? I mean, people always try to help you if you're an alcoholic and in that bad of a shape. But do you know anything about that?
I think that's a great question, and if you're talking about the 70s and what was going on and the mightiness that was Led Zeppelin, the biggest band in the world, I don't know. I think, the bottom line with a guy like that, I can't speak for anybody. Just he got on stage to listen from the end, the first recording of John Bonham up to Nebworth. Some of the last shows he did, and he played 100%.
He was an animal. He played well every time, didn't he?
We know those guys. There's certain guys that, everybody has a bad night, but there's those guys that it just doesn't matter what's going on. When they play, it's coming from somewhere else that most of us have no clue where that is. You know what I mean?
Brian, how old were you? How old were you, and do you remember where you were when you got the news?
No, I was, how old was I? I was 11 or 12.
Right, kid, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, what was it? We're talking 1980, so I would have just been turned 12. Yeah, so 12, what's that, 7th grade, 8th grade? I don't think I was, there was no MTV going on, and there was no, I wasn't really, buying magazines or media where I could learn about that as soon as it happened.
But you were drumming by then, weren't you?
Oh, yeah, I was already... Yeah, it was probably somewhere in the week I found out about it. Of course, everybody's talking about it, but I can't remember where I was at that point in time being a 12-year-old kid, yeah.
You love Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that if you said we're going to take everything musical out of your life and you can only listen to one thing, I'd probably say that would have to be Led Zeppelin. Wow.
All right, and now, what a career you've had. And you seem to be the go-to guy for solid rock acts, because I'm
the go-to guy for injured drummers.
Wow, okay.
If somebody gets injured, they call me.
But I mean, I've seen most of these bands in their current iterations, and I've seen you a couple of times. And none of these bands are doing the victory lap while still drinking tours. These bands all rock, and they all deliver an incredible product. And you've got the reputation of being the guy to call.
Well, thanks. I'm fortunate to be a part of bands that look at things like that, because if you look at Foreigner now, Foreigner's an insane thing amongst themselves. With the amount of songs that the world knows as huge hit songs from one band,
right.
And to be able to play with those guys is an honor. But they don't get up there playing the hits every show. I lived it, so it's my great friends, and it's just really all the bands have been in. Everybody's going 100%. There's no excuses, and nobody's.
What's it, man? Ask you this feeling, because I really did wonder it. You played our Zoc stock last year with Foreigner. What is it like to know? I mean, you're not like one of the four lads who created the band, but that you're up there playing some of the greatest songs of all time, and you're keeping them alive in a live fashion instead of just the records, because it's a live experience that makes fans. Anybody can make records these days with auto-tune, but to be able to get up there and play live and deliver the sound, that's there's very few people in the world that can do it and do it the way you do it. Do you feel in a weird way like you are Foreigner while you're doing it?
No, I feel like a kid that still has the headphones on, cranking Hot Blooded, in my parents' house. That's kind of what'll always make this special to me, because I look over at Mick Jones, the guy who wrote the song,
the real guy, yeah.
And I played with Foreigner back in '98, '99 when it was still Lou Gramm. After his brain tumor, after he went through all that stuff in '97, I was the drummer that came in for the next 2 years. When I look at those guys that were on my record, that I played to, Head Games, Double Vision, those are records that made me the drummer I am. And those are personal moments. So that never leaves my brain. It doesn't matter what we're doing. Yeah, it might be another gig and a string of gigs, but that's still Mick Jones over there. I'm still playing hot blooded with him.
Right.
It's personal. They're a great band. Everybody gives 100%. So I'm proud to be up there with anybody I've played with. I've just been real lucky that I haven't had to compromise on that level of
right.
I'm not hey, it's a paycheck. I don't even like the music. It's not that for me.
Not that. Oh, you can tell that. You could tell anyway. If someone was just standing there, it wouldn't work. And that's what all of these bands are. They're live. They're breathing. They're still the band, even without the lead singer. And by the way, that is it Kelly Hansen?
Kelly Hansen, yeah.
He's just phenomenal.
Well, yeah, he's one of those guys. You're like, where did you come from, and how are you able to do this? You know what I mean?
I had this crazy theory during that show, because I was just blown away. I stood, in a close, I had a good seat, and because it was our show, and I said to myself, these bands, unfortunately, we're all human. We're all going to grow old, but these bands should never die. Like, you know how classical music, they still have symphony orchestras performing it hundreds of years later?
Yeah, I think you're on the. Yeah, I think that's on the same path here.
I think there should still be a Foreigner.
Good point, and I don't.
Could be your great grandson on the drums.
Yeah, I totally agree. What's wrong with that? If people want to buy a ticket and go see Foreigner, and they're going to have a great time at a show with some great music that really is timeless, because rock and roll is so young. Let's talk in 100 years. Let's see what's going down. I mean,
we'll make an appointment now with Luciano. We'll book you 100 years from now.
Hey, Brian.
Wherever we happen to be, let's meet up.
Hey, Brian, you said that you were I think 11 or 12 when Bonzo died. Were you already a Zepp head? Did you own In Through the Outdoor?
Oh yeah. I didn't own In Through the Outdoor then. I was still. That was probably when I was still. I had a Zeppelin 3/8 track. I had a couple records. He
was a little too young. I mean,
no.
I bought it.
You had the classic. Your library of Zeppelin. You just hadn't picked up. But what's the first Zeppelin song you ever played?
Oh, the first Zeppelin song I ever played. That's wow. I hadn't thought about that. The first one I played. I thought, the first record I got was Zoso, and so that could be Black Dog, but I mean, no. Hold on. Thank you for that question. I know the exact answer. I woke up one day, all Sunday or all Saturday, Sunday, however long it takes to do Zeppelin A to Z. I literally got a school cassette recorder that I stuck in front of my dad's speaker. I had 3 cassettes. I think they reached like 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and it was Zeppelin all day long, every song A to Z. This is probably a year or two before that, somewhere right in there. I sat there all day long recording every Zeppelin song, and all I did. So I had no idea what song was from what record at that point, but I had these 3 cassettes, and I just cranked them, and that was that's overwhelming to think about it. You're trying to learn, Zeppelin songs, you barely play drums, and A to Z. So yeah.
Did your parents like drums, and did they encourage you in the direction of jazz? That's what mine would have done.
No, not at all. My dad, he could go sit on your radio show right now and hang out and we'll talk about Neil Young and the Eagles, Beatles.
Oh, okay, cool.
Buddy Holly and America and Peter Frampton. Come on, my dad's a Beatles guy, really. That's where truth be told, the first thing. My dad's a great musician. He'll sit on the piano and hang out and sing, and he'll get behind drums, play some drums,
nice.
some chords on the guitar. Showed me the the riff to Day Tripper, and that was the first thing I ever learned on guitar, which if you pick up a guitar, that's probably not the first thing you really should want to try to learn, because it's not that easy compared to even Smoke on the Water or something. But so I have stories about my dad supporting me and my parents. I mean, full on. They got me the drums, and they let me, I don't know how he came home from work every day and listened to me for hours and hours and hours and hours for years and years. I don't know how he did it, but he did. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for that.
Brian, I know we didn't take the time to set up a kit for you, but it sounds like you could give us a nice little solo here right now. Would you do a little one with your mouth? Do you have your punching bags nearby?
Yeah, here we go. Let me see.
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah. All right, maybe that.
Hold on. I was going to ask a question, but I got to ask a sidebar. Are you married?
No.
Dude, some woman. Ladies,
all you got to do is do that.
Can you hear the talent, ladies? I mean,
my thought was this, though. I was blown away by... That's the shortest a drummer ever did a drum solo.
That's the question I was going to ask. I love a drum solo, Brian. I love 3 or 4 drum solos. But how do you give guys the hook?
What's the right length for a drum solo? And I know, I think I know, because I think Jeff Cathan does the perfect length of a drum solo. You know Jeff, who
Jeff,
plays with Paul Rogers. Yes, he wanted your Foreigner gig, by the way. I think he told me.
Well, you'd be foolish not to want that gig. I think. You know, how long? If you're not talking in the confines of this Moby Dick jam at the end of the night, because it's not really a solo per person, it's just a little jammy whammy, 4 bars per person. How long should a drum solo be? I think, I think some guys can get it said pretty quickly, and I love Neil Peart's solo. I love Bonham's solo. Bonham can go on for 20 minutes. Neil Peart can be 5 minutes or whatever. And you got the visual aspect. What's going on with the drummer? You know, when you're at the show watching, when you're watching Tommy Lee spin around and spin up and down. He might just be playing a simple beat. Now, if I'm listening to that on a record, okay, he's playing a beat. But live, the heaviness of what you're watching is
right.
That's the impact there. So I don't have an answer. I'm going on feel.
It depends on the size of the venue. I mean, it should be long enough for the people that don't like drum solos to go to the bathroom and get a beer, and that varies.
Right. So Brian, you are single. You're not married. How do you and I'm hetero, but how do you look that hot, work that hard, get that sweaty every night, and someone doesn't basically lock you down?
Who said they don't?
But I mean, on a permanent basis. Are you a free spirit, or do you going to settle down?
No. I've had my long-term relationships. Just right now, that's not in the cards right this second. But
I see.
First of all, musicians, it's like anything. It's the person. You could be traveling most of the year. It's a balance. If you find the right person that's tolerant of that kind of lifestyle.
It is a difficult profession, isn't it, with all the travel that you do, because you're in a different set every couple of days.
But I only know one way, and I think as I could say, oh yeah, you don't understand, it's ridiculously crazy, oh yeah. But man, it's a lot of fun, and I think that's the most important thing. If you're doing what you love and you're having fun, then who cares about the commute, or who cares about the travel? But I don't know what it's like to be the dude that gets up and has to sit in that sun and that traffic for an hour and a half in the morning to get to work, and then do it back. 5 days a week, all week, 2-week vacation. I don't know that. And that was never in the cards for me. From the time I was a kid, I knew that would never be something I would do. But I can see the rewards of that, the guarantees of that kind of job, compared to something that a musician may do if you're not like writing the hits and all that stuff. But maybe some people might like the repetition of something like that, where it's guaranteed. I can see both.
Guaranteed repetition, satisfaction guarantee. All right, your speed bags, which we alluded to earlier, you have punching bags. Before the Foreigner show, we saw you backstage. That's what you do to warm yourself up, and I think you even brought him on stage as well. Where did that idea come from? And it's a cool showmanship thing too, but it's also important to get your energy going, isn't it?
It's just something cool. I don't know anybody that's two things like that. That's right next to drums. I don't know anybody that walks in front of a drum set and goes, "Oh, wouldn't it be fun to hit that thing?" Or walks in front of a speed bag and goes, "Wouldn't it be fun to hit that thing?" So as a kid, I don't know any of those those sequences of the Rocky movies where he's in training and he gets to that bag and you hear, here's a little speed bag for you. And you're like, yeah, you know.
Again, ladies, he's single.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I always thought it was something really cool. I had a speed bag sitting around in a you know, kind of laughing at me as I walked past it in the garage for about 8 years, and I finally got around to setting it up. And it was really through YouTube. I just thought it was something cool. Tried to hit it a couple times. I had no idea what I was doing. Saw these guys, and I should drop their names: Speedbag Skunk and Alan Kahn. If just to get a kick out of the speed bag, even if you don't care to hit one, if you just YouTube these guys. It's insanity. It's like almost the ultimate controlled chaos. Just to watch. If you don't know what you're doing on a speed bag, you watch what these guys can do and what I've tried to learn how to do. It's pretty amazing.
All right, we'll Facebook a link. Now, are you all socially networked? You mentioned Facebook a couple of times. Should we put up a link to you so people can join up and say hi?
Yeah. There's a couple. There's like a fan page. My friend Terry Bede made up there for me, and she's a great. I think she's a friend of some of you guys in the show.
Yeah, she is actually. Great gal. Brian Tichy, and as I mentioned, journeyman, world class drummer for Billy Idol, Foreigner, Ozzy Osbourne / a Snake Pit, the new Whitesnake, and now Whitesnake. Can you take us out with like a 10 or 15 second drum solo?
Oh, gee, wait. I only got so many licks.
All right, 8 seconds.
No,
yeah.
I'll get. Let me see. We're live. We got to do it. We got to make this happen.